Big Jones, the Juggernaut. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Unleashed. Hope everybody out there is having a wonderful day, wonderful night, wherever you're at. Be safe, be happy. Anyway, I want to jump right into it tonight. I got something I want to kind of talk to you guys about. So this is, I guess, what my 18-year-old would call breaking the fourth wall. But I guess I always talk directly to my audience. But so I'm just I'm thinking about this podcast idea that I'm just kind of rolling with, and I didn't really have this huge idea. I mean, it started out with me talking about my military career. That was just kind of a jumping off platform. What it really was going to be, what it was meant to be, my podcast, I wanted it to just be funny stories. I wanted it to be great experiences and little instances in my life. I mean, really what it ended up being was kind of a journal, kind of like a video journal or vlog, I guess you kids might call these days. But my reason for bringing this up now is because phase 2 of this project is it's making its way here pretty soon. And now the time has kind of come where I'm sort of reaching out to people. My whole idea for phase 2 of Unleashed was going to be bringing on guests. Everybody watches Joe Rogan. I certainly do. I love Joe Rogan's show. And I love it not because of the political aspect, but just because of the humor, just because it's fun. It's because it's two guys or, 2 or 3, sometimes more, just sitting and talking and just like old friends, I could listen to that shit forever. I don't even have to know the people involved. I certainly don't know Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, Brendan Schaub. I don't know any of those guys, but I love it when they just sit down and just shoot the shit and just talk about their experiences or talk about this thing that happened in traffic today, or I was, walking and this lady bumped into me and she got an attitude, I just love little stories like that, little tales that kind of bring us together. They talk about fights, they talk about movies, stuff like that. And that's what I wanted my podcast to eventually evolve into. And, that part is the part that kind of scared me. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am not very good at talking to people. I used to be. I didn't used to be kind of shut in. And I'm not afraid to talk to people. I just really don't enjoy talking to people. I always feel like I don't really have anything to say. Or if I do, it's just me telling some story that people are just kind of waiting for me to shut up, I guess at least a couple of you guys out there don't mind listening to me run my mouth. But yeah, the point is that me talking to people has gotten progressively more and more difficult over the years, to the point where I've become maybe a little bit cut off voluntarily, to experiences and making friends, and in this next part of my life of getting out of the military, that's not really going to be an option. I'm really going to have to be able to talk to people because I'm going back to school. I'm, going to be becoming a nurse, so I'm starting that whole process. There's going to be a lot of instances where I'm going to have to be personable. Now, here at work, I work in the night shift. I don't see as many patients as I normally would during the day, obviously, but still, I still have to be on my A game. I still have to be able to talk to people and communicate and give information, not just to patients, but to, doctors, nurses, and other corpsmen, so it is a skill set that is required, whether you like it or not. So my next part of my podcast, or phase 2 as I'm calling it, is to have guests, to have special guests. And my whole idea of it was going to be, unleashed on an MMA fighter, or unleashed on a bodybuilder, unleashed on a chef, all these. And again, not, there's plenty of videos and platforms out there where, chefs talk about, I'm just going to use chef for example, but there's plenty of platforms out there where you can listen to a chef talk about his experiences in culinary school or running a restaurant or this crazy thing that happened. But that's what I wanted my story to be about, is I wanted to be able to bring these people on and talk about, hey, what's something crazy that happened? Or more specifically, things that we're all kind of thinking, like how do you get really good with a knife that you can just da-da-da-da-da like that, really sexy like we see on TV all the time? Or is that really necessary? Or is that really just, is that just like a trick that, you guys do when you're, by yourselves and, spending long hours prepping and chopping vegetables, just that's just an example, but that was the goal, is to be able to get people on the show and have them, just basically, with a cocktail and just kind of sit back in my garage in my little rec room and just we kind of just chit chat for a while. And I obviously I want to be professional, I want to be prepared, so I got questions prepared and all that stuff. But then I started, because I have great friends here, despite my inability to, chit chat, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's just become kind of a thing of mine that I'm not a great conversationalist, or people have come to expect a certain amount of BS to come out of my mouth. But I have great friends throughout the Navy and throughout the military, my military career, that when I pitched this idea, they were like, "Oh yeah, I totally would be down with that." And to my surprise, I was, really, you'd like to sit? Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, we could sit down and shoot the shit just like we do at work every night. So, so that got me kind of excited about it. But I want my show to be accessible to everybody. And obviously, if I just have my buddies on, which is great, it's great for me because I could look back on these and remember those good old times. I want it to be accessible to everybody. So I reach out to people on Instagram, on Facebook, that are out there that I look up to, that I admire, and I want to know their story a little more intimately, or from my perspective, or from my angle that I want to approach it. So I just started reaching out to people on Instagram, sending out some emails and some direct messages, trying not to sound too creepy, but, just say, because Instagram can be a very creepy place, even for me. I don't have very many followers on social media at all. I'm slowly working my brand up, but, I really, even for me, when I make a post of a physique shot or a movie review, I even I get people who are like, "Hey, I think you're really hot, man. DM me for a good time." And I'm like, I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't want to be construed as one of those people DMing people and being weird. So I try to be as professional as possible with people. I say, hey, this is my podcast, this is my platform, this is what I'm about, here's some examples, there's some links that you can check out. I'd really be interested in having you on the podcast. And I was expecting the absolute worst, because there's a lot of trolls out there. But I just I shoot my shot, and some people are really friendly and some people are kind of dismissive. Some people didn't say anything at all. But I'm bringing all this up is because what it taught me, and if you guys out there need to hear this, then here it is. Sometimes you just got to go for it, man. Sometimes you just got to go straight to the top. I have these people in mind, and in my idealism, I know exactly how it would go. Like if I had this person sitting across from me with a microphone in front of them and the headset, and we're talking, I know exactly what I would say. It would go just like this. I would start off with that, and I would do this, and I just have these great ideas. So why am I gonna not just try? I mean, the worst thing a person can tell you is no. They're not gonna, blackball me or arrest me for just asking a question or asking them if they could be on a podcast. Besides, I'm probably not, in the case of many of these people that I'm talking to, it's probably not the first time they've been asked to do an interview or be on a podcast or do a promotional video for something, So what's the harm in asking? Yeah, they're famous, but, they put on their pants one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. So, and surprisingly, I got I don't want to name any names, but surprisingly, I got some really great responses from people. One person who did say no, which was okay, but they didn't just say no, you're creep, get out of my face, I don't have time for you. But what they said really inspired me, and I just want to share it with you. What they said, and I'm paraphrasing here, they didn't just say no outright. They asked me questions. They said, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, what's your podcast about? Or how long have you been online? Or what is your, what's your goal? What's your angle? What do you want?" And, they're very legitimate questions. So, I typed back. I said, "Hey, yeah, well, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to, not just do where you're from, where you're going, where you've been. I want it to be a little more relaxed and sort of accessible to everybody, telling, some funny stories, stories and some experiences. I just want to make it a little more personal, a little more, not so edgy, because I think maybe the name Unleashed, and then and in the midst of this, I thought, ooh, maybe the name Unleashed wasn't the best. I remember saying in my response that, listen, I'm not Howard Stern, okay? Nothing against Howard, but I'm not a shock jock kind of guy. I want it to be a little more relaxed, a little more, I want to have some laughs and some good times with it. Have fun with it, not be so super serious. There's plenty of serious stuff, CNN and the news and what's going on in the world today. There's so much serious stuff. I want it to be accessible and let people know that it's going to be a good time. So I wrote back, tried to answer all the questions this person asked me. I sent some links to some videos, and after a couple of days they responded. And when I saw this, now we're having like a dialogue. I asked them, and there's a response, and I'm responding back. So it's like a back and forth, and I'm really excited and thrilled about this, that this person is even considering it. It's actually really, really exciting for me. And anyway, long story short, they ended up saying, "Well, no, I can't really do it. I like what you do. I think they even subscribed to my channel, which is really cool. So that's really awesome." But they said no. But what they said was, "Hey, man, listen, I really admire what you did. I really admire that you came right out," because I was candid about it. I said, "Hey, listen, I don't have a whole lot of followers. I am kind of building my brand from the bottom. I'm trying to get it out there, so it is kind of starting at the, at the beginning stages of it, even though I've got quite a few podcasts out there, but I am still starting off, and I'm trying to go to the next level." And they said, "Listen, man, I admire what you're doing, man. I really appreciate you asking." I mean, they even said, "Hey, I'm flattered that you would ask me to be on your show in the first place. I like what you're doing. I can't really commit to doing it right now. But listen, man, the fact that you came to me straight up and, not through an agent or through a producer or some middleman, you came to me yourself, said, 'Hey, I'm the guy, I'm doing it myself, it's at the beginning stage,' I think they just appreciated the humility that I came with. I'm a pretty humble guy. I come out with the Big Jones juggernaut persona, because that's just me in my head, and I try to bring it out to you guys. But I'm a pretty humble guy. I don't walk around like I'm, the shit all up and through Jorge's. Extra points if you get that reference. But anyway, they just really appreciated me, just being straight up and coming right out and letting them know. And they said, "No, I can't really do it. But listen, man, the fact that you just took your shot, went straight to the top, I'm kind of a, I mean, he didn't say this, but, they are kind of a big deal." And he said, "Hey, the fact that you came right out and just, asked me yourself is pretty cool. So good on you. And you know what? I can't do it right now, but hey, man, listen, I hope you'll ask me again when you're a little further along and you have some other guests on your show, and maybe you could send me some links for those. And don't write me off just yet, even though I can't do it right now." How are you going to ask for a better response than that? I mean, he didn't have to do that. I mean, I'm not saying it's a he, but they didn't have to. They didn't have to say that at all. They could have just said no, or they didn't have to say anything. They could have just been like, junk mail, So I don't know who needs to hear this, but, if you are having, if you are whatever you're doing, man, if you're building a brand or you have an idea or you're just, venturing somewhere out of your comfort zone. I mean, that whole thing, that whole back and forth, and then the final response, even though it was a no, gave me a lot of confidence, man. Like the very next day, I said, "You know what? I'm going to make a list of people that I would love to get on the podcast." And I made a list and I sent, messages to them. And just sending those messages is something that was tough for me, but it got me excited, even though I did it, like, man, I mean, the worst that can happen is they don't respond at all, So if you guys need to hear this, I feel like at least one other person might be able to hear this, just take your shot, man. Sometimes, you can't be worried about what the future is going to bring, but the future is not going to bring you anything if you don't cast the line into the pond, man. You're never going to excel or get to a point where you want to be if you don't just, step out of that comfort zone and take your shot. For me, walking up and talking to people, I was actually in a situation once where I saw a celebrity that I would have loved to speak to, and other people were walking up to him and shaking his hand and saying hello, and I've always wanted to not be that crazy freaked out fanboy. Oh my god, I love you so much, I want to take a picture. I always try to be a little more subdued, a little more chill. I realize celebrities are people just like you and me, but I'll tell you who it was. Actually, this was in LAX, and I saw Little Richard, man, one of the godfathers of rock and roll, man. And he was exactly like you would want to. He had like some money green shirt on and shoes to match, and he had the outfit and the slick hairstyle, and he had these big freaking burly black dudes in suits as a security detail, man. And he was just there, and he was just walking around with his hair. It's like, oh, this is lovely here, this is lovely, and I was like, oh my god, that's fucking Little Richard, man. And people were walking up to him, not the security guys were making sure that people weren't getting too close, but people approach him, and they'd stop. Hey, okay, just and then Little Richard would say, hey, yeah, come on over, yeah, you want a picture, an autograph, he was being really cool. He was sitting there in the airport, and I really wanted to say hello to him, but I was so afraid that I would stutter and he would say something. I don't know. I have no idea what that man is like in real life. He seemed like he was a pretty cool dude, but I'll never know now. What are the odds I'll run into him again? I guess I could stake out LAX, but who's got time for that shit, man? You ever been to LAX, man? Fuck that airport. But anyway, yeah, man. That's gonna be my, I guess, resolution for the tasks to come, whether it's with the podcast or going to school, whatever it is. I'm gonna take whatever shot that comes my way, man. I'm not going to sit around and wait. I'm not going to worry about, if I'm talking to somebody and I stutter, I stutter. I probably stuttered on this podcast right now. If you don't like it, turn the channel. So I don't know, man. It's weird where you can derive confidence from and where you can divide inspiration from. And even though it was a no, it got me very inspired. Like, hey, this person didn't even have to talk to me, but he did. And it made me feel so energized and so inspired, especially since it was a person that I respect. So I definitely am going to take his advice, and I am going to build it up and get some other people on there, whether they're celebrities or they're buddies. I'm going to do exactly what I set out to do when I started my podcast. I'm going to put out what I want to see. I think that's the reason a lot of people start doing whatever they're doing, because they're doing something that they would want to see. If you don't see it, do it yourself. That's what I'm doing. So I appreciate you guys going on this trip with me, man. Like, share, and subscribe to BJBL Unleashed on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram while you're at it, and let me know what you guys think. Are there any celebrities that you guys would want to see me interview on Phase 2 of BJBL Unleashed? Are there Instagram personalities? Are they influencers, straight out celebs? Who would you guys like to see me talk to on the show? Give me some ideas. Maybe they'll come to fruition. Who knows? Worst I can say is no, right? See you guys next time for more